So, Toya, first and foremost, we are incredibly sorry for your loss.
Wow.
First thing we have to ask is, how is your family doing? How's everybody doing?
It's been very tough, very emotional roller coaster. My mom, she's struggling because she was really, really close to her boys. And it's just a sad and unfortunate situation. I don't wish that on any mother to have to bury two kids at one time. So, we just taking it one day at a time.
Can you walk us through that tragic night?
I remember being in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I had a host and a booking that day. And I remember telling my manager, I don't want to go to Baton Rouge because there's so much going on down there. And I don't know, something just said, go, Toya, just go. So I went, I hopped on a plane last minute, and I went. And as I was on my way to the club, I received a call from my sister-in-law, and she was like, did you talk to your mom? And I was like, no, why, what's going on? And she said, your brother, she said brother at the time, was shot. And I'm like, my brother was shot? Like, who? And she was like, Rudy, I'll call you back. And so I walked in a club, and I was trying to call, kept trying to dial numbers, like, who can I call? So I called my mom, she didn't answer. I called her back, she didn't answer. So then I got a call from my mom, and she was just screaming and just, I couldn't understand anything she was saying. And, I was like, are you okay? Like, are the boys okay? And my cousin called me back, and he was like, we on a scene, and they're not letting us, go to the car. And immediately I was like, this is not a good sign. And still I'm thinking it's just one of them, So I got in the car, I ran off the stage in the club, and I got in the car, and I drove down there to the scene, and here they have my mom in an ambulance. Like, she's just going through it, like, and they told me that it was both of my brothers. So it was just...
How does one, like, you are so strong. I just have to start with that, because anybody in their right mind, even imagining something like this happening to them, would break down at just the thought. How do you react in a moment like that, walking up to a scene?
Well, I wasn't able to go up to the scene and see them, but like being around there is like so unreal to me at the moment. So when I went to the hospital after they, my mom identified the bodies, and, she said it was my brother's, it's like I just got numb. Like, I was like, this cannot be real. It's like, it's a pain that I don't think I ever felt in my life. To lose two siblings at one time over senseless violence.
How old were they, Toya?
One of my brothers was 30 and the other one was 24.
Oh, so young.
Extremely.
Now, the police have opened up an investigation. Where does it stand now?
They still haven't found the guy, still under investigation. It's not much I can say about the situation, but I will say that my family just wants justice.
Yes, yes. Do you have any idea as to what could have caused, like you just said, people just randomly shooting people? Do you have any idea what could have caused this?
From what I hear, from what I heard that my little brother, the youngest one, he got into an argument with the guy, and, things just, it was an altercation, and, he just shot him. And my oldest brother, Josh, he's like the protector of the family. So he's always around to protect. Like, he works, he's a family man, he loves his family. And at that time, he was just there. And of course, he sees someone shooting his brother, he jumps in to defend him.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
they killed him as well.
Wow.
So it was just like, it's the violence. It's sad. It's just so sad.
I'm so sorry to hear about this, because whenever this happens, then we always think back, what would I say? What could I have said to that person? What would you say to your brothers now if you had the chance?
It's crazy because I wrote a book in my own words, and I opened up in my book. It was very therapeutic to write about that part. My brothers and I were, just starting to build. Like, we didn't grow up together. So it's like, as we got older, we were starting to get closer. So we building, and, we loving the way things are going. And I'm still moving because I'm working so much, so I'm not around them as much. And my brother used to always write me like text messages, like expressing himself. And this one time, I never forget, I was on the way to Tiny's, T.I.'s wife, Tiny, my friend, she had a birthday dinner, and I was headed there, and I received this text message from my brother, and it was just like, I'm moving so fast. It's like I'm reading a message or whatever, but I'm not really fully taking in what he's saying. The only thing I took from this message was the negative part, and every time I go back and read this message, I just break down and cry because, it really made me slow down in life, like really pay attention to what's really important, because now I can't even respond to that text message and tell my brother that I love him, even though I know he knows I love him. But there's nothing, the feeling is just, it's not the same not being able to tell him a lot.
But you know what? You can tell him, though, Toya. I want you to know that,
Yeah.
You can tell him. Don't ever think you can't. I believe that. So don't hold yourself up and say, I can't, if you just have to say it every day, just say it. I've lost my grandma, and I'm just like, I love you, Granny. And you believe me, you will feel that release. So if you want to say it now, girl.
I love it.
Let them know you love them.
I was at the casket, like sitting in front of the caskets, and I just, I went over that message, and I was like, I'm sorry, I love you. I love you. I just kept saying it to him. It just was horrible.
Yeah.